All right, so get this, like we're diving into this whole U.S. worker shortage thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of baffling, right? Like 300 million people, strong economy, and businesses can't find employees. Doesn't quite add up.
Yeah,
So we're going to break it down today. We've got this YouTube video, 300 million people, but where are the workers, the untold truth? And let me tell you, it's not just lazy millennials, okay? It's way more complicated than that.
Way
more.
Yeah, this video get into some surprising stuff.
Okay.
Like this trend they're calling the Great Retirement.
Okay, I've heard of that.
So during the pandemic, something like 5 million Americans took early retirement.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
And here's the thing, a lot of them aren't coming back.
Really? Like they're just done working?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, I guess if you can afford it, why not, right?
Well, that's part of it.
Okay.
But there's this big generational thing happening too.
Like with the boomers?
Exactly. Boomers, they hold over half the wealth in the U.S.
Wow.
So a lot of them just don't need to work.
They've got their savings and houses and all that.
Yeah, investments, paid off mortgages, the whole 9 yards.
That's so different from what millennials are facing.
Completely different financial reality.
But wait, if all these experienced people are gone, isn't that a problem?
Oh, it's huge.
I bet.
Think about it. Fewer workers, less tax revenue, slower economic growth,
Yikes.
and more pressure on the rest of the workforce to pick up the slack.
Okay, so we've got the Great Retirement happening.
Right.
But this video goes even further, talking about these kangaroo kids.
Ah, yes.
Basically, millennials still relying on their boomer parents for money.
It's more common than you think.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I get this. Boomers are expected to pass down like $68 trillion.
You're kidding.
Yep, $68 trillion by 2030 to their heirs.
That's mind-blowing. 68 trillion.
It's an insane amount of money.
I mean, if I was a millennial inheriting that, I wouldn't be working either.
Right. It makes you wonder, will they even need to work?
Yeah.
Could lead to even more early retirements.
It's like the crazy domino effect.
Exactly. One generation's retirement impacting the next.
Okay, so fewer boomers working and maybe fewer millennials entering the workforce.
Right.
No wonder businesses are struggling to find people.
It's a big part of the puzzle.
But there's more, right?
Oh, yeah, there's more.
What else did this video dig up?
Well, let's talk about this whole college degree thing.
Okay, yeah.
For years, it's been go to college, get a good job.
Right.
But the job market's telling a different story now.
It does seem like everyone's got a degree these days.
They do.
But are they the right degrees?
That's the issue. There's a mismatch.
Okay.
Industries need skilled tradespeople, electricians, plumbers, welders.
Not just people with philosophy degrees.
Not necessarily.
The video had this great point. Plumbers often make more than college grads.
It's true. They're in high demand.
It really makes you think.
It does.
Maybe college isn't the only path to success.
Right. It's about finding the right skills for the job, degree or not.
Okay, so that's another piece of the puzzle. Fewer workers and a degree mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
This is where things get a bit more complicated. Let's talk about immigrants.
Okay.
They play a big role in certain sectors, like construction.
Yeah, construction has always relied on immigrant labor.
They hold nearly a third of all the jobs.
Wow.
But here's something to think about.
Okay.
What about documented versus undocumented workers?
I hadn't really thought about that.
The numbers are pretty interesting.
I bet.
Estimates say undocumented immigrants could make up 10 to 19% of those construction jobs.
That's a lot of people.
It is, and it brings up questions about immigration policies.
Especially now with all the political debates going on.
Exactly.
This video actually mentioned something I found surprising.
What's that?
Some immigrants are actually supporting stricter immigration policies.
Yeah, that seems counterintuitive, right?
Totally. So why would that be?
It comes down to economics. A lot of immigrants who are already established.
Okay.
They worry about job security, wages being driven down.
Because of more immigrants coming in.
Right, it's competition.
That makes sense, I guess.
It's not as simple as being pro or anti-immigration.
No.
It's all tied up with economics and social factors.
So speaking of economics, let's get back to those Korean companies investing in the U.S.
Right.
This whole worker shortage, you gotta wonder, how are they gonna find enough people?
Yeah, for building and running their factory.
Exactly.
That's a real challenge.
Especially with labor costs going up.
And if construction relies so much on immigrant labor,
No.
any changes to immigration policy could have a huge impact.
So we've got this whole tangled mess. Boomers retiring, millennials maybe inheriting tons of money.
Yeah.
Education not matching up with jobs, undocumented workers, and politics thrown in.
It's a lot.
No wonder this worker shortage is so confusing.
Definitely a head scratcher. But here's the thing. They haven't actually had huge problems finding workers. Really? At least not yet. Not on a big scale anyway.
That doesn't make sense with everything we just talked about.
I know, right? But the video says that the rise in undocumented immigration might be filling some of those gaps temporarily.
So more people are coming in?
Yeah, the numbers have been going up almost back to the levels we saw in 2008.
So it's like a temporary fix then?
Yeah, but like we said, any changes to immigration policy.
Like it could all fall apart.
Exactly. It's a risky situation.
Definitely. And it kind of ties into this whole thing about undocumented workers and wages.
Right. That's another layer to this whole thing.
I've heard about that, but I don't really get it. Can you explain?
Sure. So undocumented workers often get paid less than documented workers. Right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
So that can actually push down wages overall.
Oh, I see.
Like if an employer can hire someone for less, they might not offer higher wages.
Even to documented workers.
Right.
So it's like a race to the bottom.
Kind of, yeah.
And for those Korean companies, if they're relying on undocumented workers,
yeah,
and then immigration enforcement gets stricter,
they could be in trouble.
They'd have to pay more to attract documented workers.
Exactly. Their labor costs would go up.
So even if they can find people now...
It's not a long-term solution.
Right. It's a gamble.
Totally. And the video talks about how the political climate, especially after 2016...
Yeah, things got really heated back then.
Yeah, that whole Make America Great Again thing.
Really resonated with people, even some immigrants, surprisingly.
Right. The video mentions that some immigrants actually supported stricter policies.
Really?
Yeah, because they were worried about their jobs and wages.
They thought more immigration was hurting them.
That's what some felt. And the campaign promises about cracking down on immigration and bringing back jobs.
It really appealed to people who were feeling anxious.
Exactly.
But the video also kind of questions whether those promises were realistic. Like,
yeah.
Can you really cut taxes and increase spending on things like deportations?
And border security.
Right, and still have a good economy.
It's a tough question. The video suggests that some policies like tariffs could actually backfire, lead to higher prices for everyone.
So it's like you said earlier, a delicate balance.
It is. You pull one thing and the whole thing could collapse.
It's like a giant game of Jenga.
That's a great way to put it. And for businesses...
including those Korean companies.
Yeah, it creates so much uncertainty.
It's hard to plan when things keep changing.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot today. Retiring boomers, wealthy millennials.
Mm-hmm.
The education system, undocumented workers, and politics.
A lot to unpack.
No wonder this worker shortage is such a puzzle.
It really is. But where do we go from here?
That's the big question.
Well, the video doesn't really give any easy answers, but it does ask a really interesting question.
Oh.
What about automation and AI?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
If companies can't find enough human workers...
are they just going to turn to robots?
It's starting to feel pretty real, right?
Like not just some sci-fi movie anymore.
Right.
Are we really heading toward robots building everything and AI answering all our calls?
It's definitely possible. And this video makes the point that this worker shortage...
yeah.
might actually speed things up.
Oh, wow.
Companies might just turn to AI and robots to fix their labor problems.
I get it from a business point of view, but it's kind of scary, too. What happens to all the people whose jobs get taken over?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what about all those blue-collar jobs we were talking about?
The ones that are already short worker.
Exactly. It's a real risk.
So it's like a double whammy, not enough workers, and then the jobs disappear.
It's a tough situation.
What are people supposed to do?
Well, the video doesn't offer easy answers, but
okay.
It talks about adapting and retraining, learning new skills.
So everyone needs to become a programmer now?
Not necessarily.
Okay, good.
It's more about those human skills that are hard to automate.
Like what?
Thinking critically, solving problems creatively.
Robots can't do that.
Not as well as humans, not yet, anyway.
I guess that makes sense. A robot can weld a car part.
Mm-hmm.
But if something goes wrong, it can't really figure it out on its own.
Right, exactly. Those are the things that make humans valuable.
So we need to get better at teaching those skills.
We do. We need to prepare people for a world where technology keeps changing.
It's a challenge, but kind of exciting, too. Like, we're entering a whole new world of work.
Yeah, but like you said...
we can't forget about the human side of it.
Absolutely.
What about the people who lose their jobs because of robots?
Right, the video mentions things like universal basic income.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe some kind of government support to help people switch careers.
That would be good.
It's a tough question, though. No easy solutions.
It all connects back to what we've been talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
The retiring boomers, wealth inequality, immigration. It's all tangled up.
This whole deep dive has really shown how complicated it all is.
Yeah, we started with a simple question. Where are the workers?
And it turns out there's no simple answer.
Not even close. Well, to our listener, we leave you with this. Think about your own job. How might automation change it?
What can you do to prepare?
And what kind of future do we want? One where technology helps everyone or just leaves some people behind?
There are no easy answers.
But thinking about the right questions is a good place to start.
Definitely. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.